Marcus Hale felt a cold bite of fluorescent light before he heard the words that would split his life clean in two. He had come to the downtown pharmacy early, checking inventory, scanning expiration dates, humming under his breath the way he always did when preparing the life-saving medication he'd formulated years ago, drugs that saved thousands, though few people ever knew his name. The bell over the door jingled. Heavy boots followed. Then a voice, careless, echoing, already judging. "Hands where I can see them. You don't belong back here." Marcus froze. The white lab coat on his shoulders suddenly felt like a costume someone would accuse him of stealing. He turned slowly to find Officer Reddick filling the doorway, hand on his holster, eyes narrowed as if Marcus himself were a threat. "This is my workspace," Marcus said quietly, pulse ticking in his ears. "I'm the pharmacist on duty." Reddick's smirk sharpened. "Right, and I'm the Surgeon General." The officer stepped fully inside, gaze sweeping the counters as though expecting contraband instead of antibiotics. Shelves vibrated under his gloved fingers. The hum of refrigeration units felt louder, harsher. "Got a report about suspicious activity," Reddick said. "Guess we found the source." Marcus's mouth went dry. He reached into his pocket for his ID. Slow, deliberate, but Reddick's hand snapped to his gun. "Don't move." A single heartbeat. A single terrible realization. The officer wasn't here for a report. He was here for him. And as Reddick reached for his handcuffs, Marcus understood. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. Marcus Hale lined up the last tray of insulin vials, the soft from the refrigerator blending with the early morning quiet of the pharmacy. He liked opening alone. It gave him time to breathe before the world entered, before prescriptions piled up and phones rang and patients pleaded for help insurance never quite delivered. He adjusted his white coat, smoothing the embroidered Hale Pharm ID, then checked the controlled substance log. Everything was in order. Everything was ordinary. The bell over the front door chimed. He didn't look up immediately. Deliveries sometimes came early. "Just a sec," he called, scribbling the final initials on a form. Boots struck tile. Heavy, purposeful, wrong. Marcus turned. Officer Reddick stood there, shoulders squared, jaw set, one hand resting on the holster as if out of habit or warning. His eyes scanned the shelves, the counters, then landed on Marcus with a cold stillness that felt like frost spreading over glass. "You the one back here?" Reddick demanded. Marcus blinked. Yes, I'm the pharmacist on duty." Reddick stepped closer. "ID." "Sure." Marcus reached into his pocket. "Slow," Reddick barked. "Let me see your hands." Marcus froze, lifting both palms. "My wallet's in my right pocket. I'm just getting my—" "Suspicious behavior already," the officer muttered. "You don't belong past that counter." "It's my workspace," Marcus said quietly. Reddick gave a short, humorless laugh. "Uh-huh, and I'm the head of NASA." Marcus inhaled slowly, steadying himself. "My identification will clear this up, or prove the report is right." "What report?" Marcus asked. Reddick didn't answer. Instead, he lifted his radio, murmuring something Marcus couldn't quite catch. "Back up," Marcus realized. His stomach tightened. "Officer, I'm supposed to be here," he said. "If someone called." "Hands behind your back." The words sliced the air. Marcus stared at him, stunned. "What? Why?" "Noncompliance. Possible tampering with medication. Trespassing. Pick one. I work here." "Then you shouldn't have trouble explaining that downtown," Reddick said. Marcus's pulse hammered. "You're making a mistake." Reddick's jaw twitched. "Turn around." Marcus looked past him toward the front windows. A couple of customers had stopped on the sidewalk, watching. One lifted a phone. Another hesitated, then slipped inside but hovered near the door, avoiding Marcus's eyes. "Please," Marcus said softly, "just look at my badge. It's right here." Reddick grabbed his arm, twisting it behind him. Marcus winced. "Stop resisting." "I'm not resisting." "Sure you aren't." Reddick snapped the cuff onto Marcus's wrist. The metal bit into skin. Marcus swallowed hard, searching the bystander's face for anything. Sympathy, courage, outrage, but saw only uncertainty. "My license is framed behind the counter," Marcus said. "My DEA certification is logged in the system. Ask anyone." "You talk too much," Reddick muttered. The second cuff clicked into place. Marcus's ID slipped from his pocket in the struggle, landing face up on the tile. Reddick didn't even glance at it. Neither did the customers. The front door swung open again. Officer Daniels appeared, younger, posture tense. "Reddick, you need assistance?" "Got a trespasser," Reddick announced. "Caught him behind the pharmacy counter, doing who knows what." Daniels frowned at Marcus's lab coat. "He looks like staff." "Looks deceive," Reddick snapped. "Help me escort him." Daniels hesitated. "Maybe we should." "You questioning my call?" "A beat." Daniels lowered his gaze. "No." Marcus felt hands on his shoulders, guiding him forward. His chest tightened as he was marched past the vitamins display, past the greeting card aisle, past the counter he'd stood behind for 5 years. The sidewalk buzzed with murmurs. What did he do? Isn't he the pharmacist? "Man, I'm not getting involved." Marcus lifted his voice slightly. "I didn't do anything." Reddick pushed him toward the cruiser. "Save it." Daniels opened the back door, expression conflicted. "Watch your head, sir." "Sir." It was the first respectful word anyone had offered him since the boots hit the tile. Marcus ducked into the cramped space. The door slammed shut, sealing him behind glass like an exhibit no one would read the plaque for. Through the window, he saw Reddick pick up his ID, then toss it onto the passenger seat without looking. A hollow ache rose in Marcus's throat. His sanctuary blurred as the engine rumbled to life. Rows of neatly labeled medications. The place he'd built his routines. The place he'd saved lives from a counter no one now believed he belonged behind. Daniels walked around the front. Marcus caught his profile, uncertain, uneasy, but still obedient. Reddick slid into the driver's seat, grinning at the road like a man victorious. Marcus exhaled, a shaky, fractured breath. Nothing about this was ordinary. It was a rupture, a theft, and as the cruiser pulled away, Marcus understood that his life, his work, his reputation, his safety, had just been placed in the hands of a man who had already decided who he was, without ever letting him speak. The interrogation room buzzed faintly under fluorescent lights, a sound too soft to complain about, but too constant to ignore. Marcus sat in the metal chair, wrists free now, but skin still burning from the cuffs. His lab coat lay folded on the table. Reddick had tossed it there like evidence. Marcus stared at it. The crease down the sleeve sharp and crooked, a reminder of hands that had seized him without thought. The door clicked. Reddick stepped in first, followed by Daniels. Reddick's voice came sharp. "Sit up. We're going to get some answers." Marcus lifted his gaze. "I already gave you the answer. I work at the pharmacy. That is my lab coat. That is my job." Reddick sat across from him, leaning back. "Your job, huh? Funny how nobody at the scene could confirm it." Marcus frowned. "That's not true. You didn't ask anyone." "I asked enough." Daniels shifted, arms crossed. Marcus saw the hesitation again, the flicker of doubt that hadn't been there when Reddick barked orders on the tile floor. Reddick folded his hands together. "Why were you behind the counter?" "It's where pharmacists stand," Marcus replied gently. "I was preparing medications for the day." "You sure you weren't tampered with controlled substances?" "No." "You sure you weren't stealing them?" "No." "You sure you weren't breaking in?" "I opened the store. The manager gave me the key years ago." Reddick smirked. "Convenient story." Marcus inhaled slowly. "You can verify it. Call the store. Call corporate. Check the schedule." Daniels cleared his throat. "We should probably do that." Reddick shot him a glare. "We'll do that when I say we do." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Please, just confirm it." "Enough," Reddick snapped. "You'll talk when spoken to." Marcus stared at him, feeling the humiliation thicken. "I am talking. You just don't want to hear what contradicts your assumption." Reddick slammed his palm on the table. Daniels flinched. Marcus didn't. "Don't get smart with me." "I'm asking for fairness," Marcus said quietly. Reddick pointed at him. "People like you always do." The words hung in the air, heavy and familiar, coded, sharp, unmistakable. Marcus felt them land like pins under the skin. Daniels finally stepped forward. Reddick, maybe we should just look at his ID. It was right there. Right where? Reddick interrupted. The floor, Daniels said. By the counter. Reddick shrugged. Didn't see it. Marcus spoke softly. You picked it up. No, I didn't. You put it in your front seat. Reddick tilted his head. You calling me a liar? Marcus held his gaze. I'm asking you to acknowledge evidence. Daniels gave Marcus a small, apologetic look. I'll go check the car. No, Reddick barked. Daniels paused. Why not? Chain of custody. I'll handle it. Marcus felt a cold wave slide through his chest. My identification isn't contraband. It's proof of who I am. Oh, we'll get to who you are, Reddick said. Marcus pressed his palms against the cool metal edge of the table. I want a lawyer. Reddick rolled his eyes. Here we go. That is my right. Sir, Daniel said carefully, he can request? I heard him, Reddick muttered. Marcus adjusted his breathing, grounding himself the way he did during medical emergencies. Officer Daniels, could you please call my supervisor? Her number is on the emergency contact sheet in my wallet. Daniels reached toward the wallet lying on the table. Reddick's hand shot out, blocking him. No, not yet. Daniels stiffened. Why not? It would resolve this. Reddick lowered his voice to a growl. Because I'm running this room, not you. Silence tightened the space. Marcus watched Daniel struggle. Conscience shoved against protocol. Reddick leaned forward. Let me tell you how this is going to work. You're going to explain why you were at a locked pharmacy before opening hours. I opened the pharmacy, Marcus said. Explain why you were handling controlled medication without oversight. Pharmacists work alone in the morning. Explain why you didn't comply with my instructions. Marcus's eyebrows lifted. I did. I froze because you threatened me. That's what guilty men say. Marcus exhaled shakily. This is not an investigation. This is you shaping a narrative. Reddick grinned. Nice vocabulary. Still doesn't change anything. Daniel stepped closer to Marcus. Sir, do you have any proof of employment besides what was at the store? Yes, Marcus said. Digital credentials. Emails. My hospital partnership badge. Many people can confirm it immediately. Reddick scoffed. Digital documents can be forged. Marcus gave him a long, tired look. Why are you trying so hard not to confirm something so easy to confirm? Reddick's expression hardened. Watch your tone. Daniels finally broke. Reddick, this doesn't make sense. The lab coat, the badge, the way the employees reacted. They didn't react. They did, Daniels said quietly. They looked scared. That doesn't mean guilty. That often means confused. Reddick rose from his chair. You taking a side? I'm taking the side of evidence. Sit down, Reddick ordered. Daniels didn't. Marcus's heartbeat quickened. Not out of fear this time, but out of the tiny, fragile possibility that someone might actually listen. Reddick paced the small room. I have a report. I responded. I found an unknown male behind a lock counter. That is enough to detain. Detain, maybe, Daniels replied. But charge? Without verifying anything. Reddick turned sharply. I know what I'm doing. Marcus's voice cracked slightly. You're trying to make the facts match your assumption. Reddick slammed the table again. Enough out of you. Daniels held up a hand. Stop. This is going too far. Reddick glared. You want to file the paperwork? Be my guest. But I'm not letting this guy walk until we know exactly what he was doing with those meds. Marcus swallowed. Saving lives. Reddick shot him a withering look. Sure you were. Marcus felt the bitterness rise, but he kept his tone steady. The medication I was organizing this morning, I helped design it. The hospital across the street uses it in emergency rooms. Daniels blinked. You designed it? Marcus nodded once. Check the registry. Check the clinical trial publication. Check the FDA filing. My name is on all three. Reddick scoffed loudly. A pharmacist designed a miracle drug? Give me a break. It isn't a miracle, Marcus whispered. It's science and teamwork and years of work you're dismissing because you don't believe someone who looks like me could be responsible for it. Silence. Daniel stepped back slowly, stunned. Reddick looked away. Too quickly. Marcus saw it then. Not disbelief. Fear that the truth would expose him. Daniels inhaled. I'm verifying his employment. Now. Reddick moved to block him again, but Daniels slipped out the door before he could. The door slammed shut. Reddick turned back to Marcus, eyes cold, jaw clenched. I'm not backing down, he said, no matter what he finds. Marcus felt the room tilt, the danger deepen. Reddick wasn't searching for truth. He was racing it. The station lobby phones began ringing long before Daniels reached the front desk. He heard the dispatcher sigh as she answered yet another call. Yes, ma'am. I understand. Yes, we're checking into it. No, I can't release details. Yes, he's here. Please stop shouting. Daniels paused. Who's calling? The dispatcher covered the receiver. Pharmacy employees, hospital partners, a doctor, and someone claiming to be the chief medical officer. They all say we've detained the wrong man. Daniels tightened his jaw. Transfer that last one to me. She handed him the line. Dr. Rames, the voice said sharply. Marcus Hale was arrested? He's our primary pharmaceutical liaison. He's also the lead developer of an emergency response drug currently saving hundreds of patients a week. Where is he? Why was he taken? Daniel swallowed. We're verifying details now, sir. Verifying? Dr. Rames snapped. He's a pillar of our clinical program. This is outrageous. Daniels closed his eye for a moment. I understand. No, Rames said, quieter now, angrier. You don't. The call ended abruptly. Daniels let out a breath, then hurried down the hall. Inside the interrogation room, Marcus sat alone again. His pulse had settled into something steadier but still fragile, still bruised. Reddick had stepped out moments earlier, muttering about procedural burdens and people playing victim. Marcus stared at the blank wall. He had spent years building credibility. Degrees, certifications, research, long nights in a lab. Years trying to prove worth in spaces where people doubted him the moment he entered. Yet all it took was one officer's assumption to collapse it. The door opened. Reddick returned, face tight. Well, Daniels has decided he's smarter than protocol. Marcus looked up. He's checking the truth. Truth, Reddick repeated mockingly. Funny word. Means something different to everyone. No, Marcus said softly. It doesn't. Reddick placed a file on the table. I'm filing charges. Tampering. Trespassing. Obstruction. Marcus blinked. Obstruction? I complied. You slowed down. You spoke over me. You didn't follow instructions immediately. Marcus stared at him, disbelief widening. Those aren't crimes. They are when I document them. Marcus felt the air shrink. Why are you doing this? Reddick gave a thin smile. To keep the public safe. Marcus shook his head. No, you're doing this because you're afraid of being wrong. The smile twitched. Careful. Marcus held his gaze. You know I wasn't trespassing. You know this arrest is unjustified. And you're still doubling down. Before Reddick could reply, the door burst open. Daniel stepped inside, breathless, holding a printout. He's telling the truth. Reddick glared. Excuse me? Daniels laid the paper down. This is the hospital partnership roster. His photo, his credentials, his signatures. He's legit. Reddick didn't look. Anyone could fake that. Daniels placed a second paper on top. This is the FDA documentation. His name is listed as a contributing developer on the medication he mentioned. Reddick snorted. And Daniels continued, we've already received 8 calls confirming his employment, including one from the chief medical officer. Reddick leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Sounds like they're covering for him. Daniels stared. Covering for a pharmacist? For a suspect, Reddick corrected. He's not a suspect. Reddick stood upright. He is until I say otherwise. Marcus inhaled sharply. My identification. Did you check it? Daniels looked at Reddick. Where is it? Reddick shrugged. Misplaced. You mean you never looked? Daniels said quietly. Reddick's eyes narrowed. Watch yourself. Daniels took a step toward Marcus. Sir, let me apologize. No, Reddick snapped. You don't talk to him directly. Daniels squared his shoulders. He deserves acknowledgement. Reddick turned red. He deserves the same process as everyone else. Marcus met Daniels' eyes. Thank you for checking. Daniels nodded. Reddick slammed his fist on the doorframe. Out! No! Daniels said, voice steady now. We need to release him. Reddick advanced. He stays until I finish my report. Marcus suddenly spoke, voice trembling but clear. Why? What do you gain by keeping me here? Reddick spun toward him. I gain a complete record. That's what. I gain protection from people making accusations because they don't like being questioned. Nobody is accusing you, Marcus said gently. They're correcting you. Same thing. No, Marcus whispered. It isn't. The room pulsed with tension, electric and raw. Daniels exhaled shakily. Reddick, this is becoming misconduct. We have to acknowledge the evidence. Reddick glared. You think IA won't back me up? You think they won't choose an officer over a... He cut himself off, jaw snapping shut. Marcus's stomach clenched. Over what? Reddick looked away. Daniels' eyes widened. Don't finish that sentence. Reddick stepped back, regaining composure. I don't need to finish it. The world already knows how this will play out. Not this time, Daniel said. The truth is already out there. People are calling. Someone posted the arrest online. Marcus flinched. Posted. Daniels nodded. A witness recorded parts of it. Reddick's eyes flashed panic before cooling into something harder. Doesn't matter. I'll file the report first. Daniels stared. You're trying to beat the evidence. I'm trying to control the narrative. The admission hung in the air, damning. Marcus felt heat crawl up his spine. So this was never about safety. Reddick turned toward him. It was about order and respect, and you gave neither. I gave everything, Marcus said softly. I always do. That's how I save people's lives. Daniels whispered, Reddick, stop. But Reddick was past stopping. I said he was suspicious. That's enough. Marcus felt something break. Inside him, around him. He couldn't tell. Suspicious of what? Breathing? Existing? Wearing a lab coat? Reddick stiffened. I follow my instincts. Your instincts, Marcus said, voice cracking, are biased. The room froze. Daniels didn't deny it. He simply turned toward the door. I'm taking this to the captain. Reddick's face drained of color. Daniels, don't you dare. But it was too late. Daniels was already gone. The door slammed shut behind him. Reddick stared at it, breathing hard, before turning slowly back to Marcus. His voice came out low, dangerous. This isn't over. Marcus's pulse surged again. Not out of fear, out of the sick certainty that Reddick was right. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. The captain's office door clicked shut with a sound too soft for the urgency building on both sides. Daniel stood rigid near the window, while Captain Arroyo rubbed her temples, scanning the brief report he'd handed her. This is incomplete, she said. It's everything I could get before Reddick locked down the computer, Daniels replied. Arroyo looked up sharply. He what? He restricted access. Said it was active investigation protocol. Captain, there's no active investigation. Arroyo sighed, irritation slipping into exhaustion. And the pharmacist, still in the interrogation room. Her jaw clenched. Bring him out. Now. Daniels hesitated. Reddick won't like... Officer Daniels, she said firmly. I'm not here to manage Reddick's preferences. Bring the man out. Daniels nodded and hurried out. Inside the interrogation room, Marcus sat straighter when Daniels returned. Reddick stood in the corner, arms folded, as if guarding territory. Captain wants to see him, Daniels announced. No, Reddick said immediately. It wasn't a question. Daniels replied. Reddick stepped forward. He stays until the report is complete. It's not your call anymore. Marcus stood slowly. Officers, I'll go wherever you take me. But I would like to speak to the captain. You don't get to want, Reddick snapped. Daniels ignored him. Come on, Mr. Hale. The walk down the hallway was quiet, except for the hum of vending machines and the low buzz of phones in the nearby office. Officers glanced up as Marcus passed, some curious, some wary, some uneasy in a way Marcus recognized instantly. People sensing trouble but unwilling to risk touching it. Daniels opened the captain's door. Ma'am. Arroyo looked up. Mr. Hale, please have a seat. Marcus swallowed, lowering himself into the chair. Thank you. Reddick appeared in the doorway like a storm cloud. Captain, I need to speak to you before. No, Arroyo said sharply. You wait. Reddick stiffened. With respect. That was not a request. The door closed behind him. Arroyo exhaled, her expression softening as she turned to Marcus. Mr. Hale, I'm reviewing what happened. I'm concerned. Marcus folded his hands to keep them from shaking. I was arrested in my workplace. I'm aware. I complied with every instruction. Arroyo nodded. I've seen early footage. It appears you did. Marcus's throat tightened. Yet I was still treated like a criminal. Daniel spoke carefully from behind him. Captain, there were multiple calls, dozens, confirming his identity and role at the pharmacy. Arroyo nodded again. And I've received 3 calls myself, including one from the hospital's chief medical officer. Marcus looked down, the humiliation hitting all over again. I just want to understand why this happened. Arroyo leaned forward. My goal right now is to resolve this safely. Safely for who? Marcus asked quietly. The captain's expression flickered. Not offense, but recognition. For everyone involved. Marcus met her eyes. That answer doesn't reassure me. Arroyo closed the folder in front of her. Mr. Hale, it's clear your detention was unwarranted. I'm ordering your immediate release. Marcus let out a slow breath, but the relief lasted only a heartbeat before the door opened again. Reddick stepped inside without waiting. Captain, can I speak freely? No, she said. He continued anyway. This is a mistake. He was acting suspicious. He resisted. That's not what the footage shows, Arroyo replied coldly. Footage can be interpreted. Daniel stepped forward. Not this time. Reddick shot him a glare. You're young. You don't understand the politics. You break rank, you get burned. Daniels held his ground. I'm not breaking rank. I'm telling the truth. Reddick scoffed. Truth? You think IA will back you when this becomes a media frenzy? Arroyo's voice sliced through the tension. Reddick, enough? Mr. Hale is being released. Reddick's face twisted. Captain, with all due respect. Arroyo stood. You are seconds from insubordination. Reddick's jaw flexed, but he stepped back. Arroyo turned to Marcus. Mr. Hale will provide a formal apology shortly. You're free to collect your belongings. Marcus rose, steady despite the exhaustion pressing at his bones. Thank you, he said, though gratitude felt too complicated for a moment like this. As they stepped into the hallway, Reddick followed. This isn't over, he muttered. Daniel spun. Stop threatening him. I didn't threaten, Reddick replied. I stated a fact. Arroyo appeared behind them. Reddick, my office. Now. Reddick hesitated, then walked the opposite direction. Marcus watched him go, feeling a strange mix of fear and pity. Fear what Reddick might still try to do. Pity for a man so tangled in his own prejudice he couldn't see anything else. Arroyo touched Marcus's arm lightly. Mr. Hale, please wait by the exit. I'll bring your personal items. Marcus nodded. As he walked toward the glass doors, voices rose behind the frosted office window. Reddick sharp and furious, Arroyo's controlled but firm. The argument escalated. Marcus couldn't hear the words, but the tone alone made his stomach knot. Daniel slipped beside him. Are you okay? I don't know, Marcus said truthfully. Daniels lowered his voice. You shouldn't have gone through that. Some of us were trying to do better. Marcus looked at him. searching his expression. Trying isn't always enough. Danielle's shoulders sagged. I know. Arroyo emerged a minute later, holding Marcus's wallet and folded lab coat. Here. Marcus accepted them. His fingers brushed the embroidered name on the coat. His identity reduced to fabric and thread, shaken by someone who'd never cared to learn it. As he stepped outside, sunlight hit him like a release, but also like exposure. 3 reporters stood near the curb. One called out, "Mr. Hale, can we ask?" He stopped, stunned. A video of his arrest was playing on someone's phone. His image, hands behind his back, confusion on his face. His worst moment recorded, misinterpreted, now unleashed into the world. Marcus stepped backward, breath catching. Daniels touched his arm. "Just head home. Don't talk yet." Marcus nodded, throat tight. As he walked toward the parking lot, the reporters' voices faded, replaced by a single, chilling realization. The nightmare wasn't ending. It was expanding. Marcus's house had never felt so small. He shut the door behind him, leaning against it as his breath shook loose from the tight cage of his ribs. The silence inside was heavy, unfamiliar. Usually he returned home with the mild exhaustion of a long shift, maybe humming a tune from the radio at the pharmacy. Today, he carried the weight of the entire station with him. His phone buzzed, then buzzed again. Then again. He hesitated before answering the first call. "Marcus." The voice was anxious, trembling. "It's Lila from the pharmacy. Are you okay?" Marcus swallowed. "I'm home. They released me." "Oh, thank God." Her breath came out in a rush. "We saw the video. It's everywhere. Everyone is furious. Customers, co-workers, people online." "I don't want to see it," Marcus murmured. "You might have to eventually." She hesitated. "But for now, rest. We're with you. All of us." He didn't trust his voice enough to respond with anything more than, "Thank you." They hung up. Another call came, this time from Dr. Rames. "Marcus," he said, tone already protective, "I've spoken to hospital board. We intend to issue a public statement supporting you." "That's not necessary," Marcus whispered. "It is," Rames insisted. "You were profiled and unlawfully detained. This cannot go unaddressed. And Marcus, you're not just an employee. You're a leader in our research program." Marcus closed his eyes. That word, leader, landed strangely now. Today, he didn't feel like a leader. He felt like a warning sign someone had ignored. "Thank you, sir," he said quietly. And Marcus, "Yes." "Take the week off. Please." He agreed and ended the call. Almost immediately, the phone vibrated again. Notifications, messages, emails. He turned the device face down on the table, as though hiding it might shrink to chaos. But chaos bled through everything. Hours passed before Marcus forced himself to turn on the television. A news anchor stood in front of a headline. "Local pharmacist wrongfully detained. Video sparks outrage." The screen switched to clips of his arrest. Seeing himself restrained, confused, pleading, it made his stomach twist. A commentator's voice followed. "Eyewitnesses claim the man arrested is actually a lead medical researcher. Officials have not yet released a statement." Marcus switched the TV off. His hands were trembling. "Is this my life now?" he whispered to the room. The doorbell rang. Marcus flinched. Slowly, he approached the door and looked through the peephole. A woman in a blazer held a microphone. 2 others stood behind her, adjusting a camera. He backed away, heart crashing against bone. No, not today. He didn't open the door. His phone buzzed again, this time with a name he didn't expect. EMT Supervisor Kendra Logan. He answered hesitantly. "Hello." "Marcus, I'm so sorry," she said. "We just found out. We owe you so much. You know how many patients your drug has saved? My team is furious. We're drafting a letter of support. You don't have to." "We want to," she insisted. "Someone needs to say something loud enough that the department hears it." Marcus closed his eyes. "Thank you, Kendra. Truly." "Stay strong, Marcus," she said softly. "You're not alone." When he hung up, he sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. He didn't feel strong. He didn't feel seen. He felt exposed, like a raw nerve pressed against the world's teeth. Meanwhile, across the city, Officer Reddick sat in a small interview room, arms crossed, speaking to two internal affairs officers. "Look," Reddick said, tone defensive but rehearsed, "I responded to a suspicious call. I found a man behind a lock counter. He didn't comply. I followed procedure." One investigator raised an eyebrow. There was no suspicious call recorded in dispatch. Reddick stiffened. Then the system glitched. And the body cam malfunctioned? "It happens." "Conveniently?" Reddick glared. "You accusing me of something?" "We're investigating," the officer replied. "Investigate all you want," Reddick snapped. The guy was hiding something. The investigator glanced at his notes. He was preparing medication. Reddick didn't seem to hear that. "People online are twisting the narrative." "That narrative," the investigator said, "contradicts your report." "Reports evolve," Reddick muttered. The investigator closed the folder. "Truth doesn't." Reddick bristled. But for the first time, a thread of unease flickered in his posture. Back in his living room, Marcus tried to eat dinner, but every bite fell heavy. His appetite had evaporated somewhere between the third phone call and the 50th message. Then a new email notification appeared on his laptop. National Health Equity Board. Speaking invitation. His pulse jumped. He opened it. "Mr. Hale, in light of recent events and your significant contributions to emergency medicine, we would like to invite you to speak on systemic racial profiling within medical and pharmaceutical spaces." Marcus stared at the screen. "Speak? About this?" He didn't know if he had the strength. He didn't know if he wanted the spotlight that had crashed into his life like a burning building. But as he read the rest of the email, he felt something shift, something small but real. They weren't asking him because he was a victim. They were asking because he had a voice people wanted to hear. His phone vibrated. A text from Daniels. "Mr. Hale, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I told the investigators everything. Please know that not all of us wanted this to happen." Marcus stared at the message for a long time before replying. "Thank you for telling the truth." A moment later, Daniels responded, "It's not enough, but I'm trying." Marcus set the phone down and looked around his quiet home. For the first time since the arrest, his breath steadied. The world had found out, and now the world was watching. The municipal oversight chamber was colder than Marcus expected. Not physically, though the air conditioning hummed sharply, but in mood and tension, in the quiet hostility simmering beneath polished wood and metal nameplates. Reporters lined the back wall. Cameras blinked red like watchful, unblinking eyes. Daniel sat 2 rows behind Marcus, shoulders tense, hands clasped. Reddick sat across the aisle with his union representative, both looking confident, rehearsed. A council member adjusted her microphone. "This hearing will examine the detainment of Mr. Marcus Hale on the morning of June 21st. We will review conduct, procedure, and any racial bias that may have influenced the incident." Her tone was formal, but Marcus felt the tremor beneath it, like even she understood the weight of the moment. "Mr. Hale," she continued, "you may begin your testimony." Marcus's throat tightened. He leaned toward the microphone. "My name is Marcus Hale. I am a licensed pharmacist and medical researcher. On the morning in question, I was preparing life-saving medication at my workplace when Officer Reddick." Reddick suddenly stood. "Objection!" "You don't get objections here," the council member snapped. Reddick slowly sat, jaw tight. Marcus continued. "He entered the pharmacy, accused me of trespassing, and detained me without verifying my identity." One council member leaned forward. "Did he ask to see your ID?" "He demanded it. I reached for it slowly, but he drew closer and escalated." "Did you resist?" "No," Marcus said. "I complied." But he interpreted hesitation as resistance. A murmur rippled through the audience. The council chair interjected. "Mr. Hale, how did the arrest make you feel?" Marcus inhaled. "Humiliated." His voice wavered. "Terrified. Confused. I've handled medical emergencies, but I've never been more afraid than when he grabbed my arm. Reddick shook his head, scoffing. The chair continued. Thank you. Please remain seated for further questioning. The counsel signaled to the clerk. Play the footage. The room dimmed slightly as a large screen lit up with the viral video. Marcus watched himself on the display, the uncertainty in his posture, the calm breaking his voice, the handcuffs snapping shut. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Reddick began whispering fiercely to his representative. The clip ended. The chair addressed him. Officer Reddick, you may respond. Reddick stood, adjusting his uniform. The video doesn't show the full picture. I received a suspicious activity call. A council member cut in. Dispatch reports show no such call. Reddick blinked, surprised. Then it didn't log. Technology fails. Another council member leaned forward. Your body cam malfunctioned too? It happens. We found no evidence of recorded malfunction. Reddick's jaw tightened. Look, the man was acting strange. Back behind a restricted counter. Employees didn't defend him. Marcus spoke softly. They were scared of you. Reddick glared. They were quiet. Quiet looks like guilt. A council member folded his hands. Quiet also looks like fear. Before Reddick could retort, the chair called, Officer Daniels. Daniels rose slowly. Marcus watched him exhale, as if letting go of a burden he'd been carrying for weeks. Officer Daniels, the council member began. You were present at the arrest. Please describe what you observed. Daniels approached the microphone. Yes, ma'am. I arrived to see Officer Reddick detaining Mr. Hale. I noticed a pharmacy ID badge on the floor. I also noticed Mr. Hale wearing a lab coat. It all seemed off. Did Mr. Hale resist arrest? No, Daniels said firmly. He complied. Reddick growled under his breath. That's not how you described it earlier. Daniels ignored him. Mr. Hale identified himself multiple times. Officer Reddick didn't verify it. A council member asked, Did you? I tried. Officer Reddick prevented me. The room erupted with whispers. Another council member leaned closer. Did Officer Reddick display racial bias? Daniels hesitated, swallowing. I can't claim what was in his mind, but his behavior, it felt targeted, dismissive. He escalated too quickly, ignored obvious signs of Mr. Hale's role, and refused to check evidence. Reddick snapped, Watch your mouth. The council member raised a hand. Officer Reddick, you will remain silent unless prompted. Daniels continued. I later verified Mr. Hale's employment. Multiple external sources confirmed it. Officer Reddick still insisted on filing charges. The chair turned to Reddick. Why? Because he was still suspicious. What evidence supported that suspicion? Reddick opened his mouth, but no words arrived. Another council member tapped her pen. Officer, your report claimed Mr. Hale became aggressive. That's right. Not supported by footage. He resisted verbally. That's not a crime. Reddick's face flushed. He had something to hide. Daniels whispered, barely audible, he was hiding nothing. The chair leaned back. Officer Reddick, the inconsistencies in your testimony are concerning. We're seeing indications of misconduct, potential falsification of reports, failure to verify identity, and possibly racially motivated assumptions. Reddick threw his hands up. Oh, come on. I did my job. No, the council member said quietly. You abused it. A hush fell over the room. Marcus felt his breath catch. The words landed like justice long overdue. The chair gathered her notes. This council will begin formal investigation procedures into Officer Reddick's conduct. We appreciate the testimony provided today. Mr. Hale, we will reach out regarding further statements. The gavel struck once. The session adjourned. Marcus stood slowly. Daniels walked toward him. Mr. Hale, I hope this helps. It does, Marcus said softly, but it doesn't undo what happened. Daniels nodded, eyes heavy. I know. Across the room, Reddick stormed out, his representative chasing after him. Marcus watched him go, not with triumph, but with something quieter, deeper. A grief of the part of himself that had believed people like Reddick could not still hold such power, but also a fragile relief. The truth was finally speaking louder than a lie. Internal affairs met in a narrow conference room that smelled faintly of old coffee and disinfectant. Marcus sat on one side of the table, a glass of water untouched in front of him. Across from him, Captain Arroyo and two IA investigators flipped through folders stamped with the blue departmental seal. The room's air felt dense, charged with the gravity of what was about to be revealed. One investigator cleared his throat. "Mr. Hale, thank you for coming. This will be brief." Marcus nodded. "I understand." Another investigator adjusted her glasses. "Our investigation into Officer Reddick has concluded. We want to present the findings." The door opened. Reddick entered, union representative at his side. His posture was stiff, chin raised in an almost defiant tilt. When he saw Marcus, his jaw tightened. Arroyo's voice sliced through the tension. "Sit down, officer." Reddick lowered himself slowly, eyes fixed on anything that wasn't Marcus. The investigator began. After reviewing witness testimony, body cam data, dispatch logs, and digital evidence, including attempts to alter timestamps, we've reached a conclusion. Reddick's representative leaned forward. "We expect full context to be considered." "It was," the investigator replied flatly. Silence deepened as the investigator continued. "Officer Reddick falsified parts of his incident report, misrepresented dispatch information, and acted without reasonable suspicion. We also found intentional suppression of exculpatory evidence, namely Mr. Hale's ID." Reddick stiffened. "I didn't suppress anything. I misplaced." "You placed it in your cruiser," the investigator interrupted, "and never logged it. Cameras outside the station captured you putting it there." Reddick exhaled sharply through his nose. "This is political." "No," the investigator said. "It's procedural misconduct." The second investigator spoke next. Officer Daniels corroborated the inconsistencies. Multiple witnesses confirmed Mr. Hale identified himself repeatedly. Marcus looked down at his hands. Hearing the truth spoken aloud didn't erase the humiliation, but it steadied something inside him, like a spine that had bent painfully, now slowly realigning. The investigator closed the folder. "We are recommending Officer Reddick's termination effective immediately, pending administrative review. Additionally, the district attorney will consider charges related to falsifying a police report and unlawful detainment." Reddick shot up from his seat. "This is ridiculous." His representative gripped his arm. "Sit." Reddick ignored him. "You're ruining my life because this guy." Marcus looked up, meeting his glare. "Because you abuse your power." Reddick pointed at him. "You escalated. You acted suspicious." You didn't listen," Marcus said softly. "You never intended to." Arroyo's voice dropped to a cold, steady register. "Officer Reddick, you are dismissed pending further notice. Turn in your badge and weapon." Reddick stared at her, stunned. "You can't do this." "It's already done," the representative whispered urgently, trying to calm him, but Reddick shook him off, turning his anger back to Marcus. "This is your fault." Marcus inhaled, feeling the words hit but not pierce. "No, this is the result of your choices." Reddick's chest heaved. "You think you've won?" Marcus shook his head, voice quiet but unwavering. "There's no winning in what happened to me. Only consequences." Two officers stepped into the room, positioned by the door. Reddick's rage faltered, replaced by something raw. Fear, disbelief, pride cracking under reality's weight. He threw one last glare at Marcus. "Enjoy the attention while it lasts." Then he walked out. The door slammed behind him, leaving a vacuum of stillness. Arroyo turned to Marcus. "I know none of this erases what you went through, but I hope it helps." Marcus nodded once. "Thank you for taking it seriously." The investigator added, "If you wish to file a civil complaint, we'll provide documentation." "I'll think about it," Marcus said, though he already felt unsure. He wanted accountability, yes, but lawsuits wouldn't heal the shaken parts of him. When the meeting ended, Arroyo walked him to the hallway. Daniels waited there, clasping his hands nervously. Arroyo nodded at him. Officer Daniels, you're dismissed for now. He stepped forward, hesitant. Mr. Hale, I heard what happened. I'm glad the truth came out. Marcus studied him. You helped. Daniels swallowed. I could have helped sooner. Marcus didn't disagree, but he also didn't condemn him. You spoke up, Marcus said quietly. That matters. Daniels' shoulders dropped in relief. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. Deeply. Marcus nodded, a fragile kindness settling between them. Thank you. That afternoon, Marcus returned to the pharmacy. He stood outside for a long moment, feeling the weight of memory press against the glass door. He expected to walk in and feel small again, shrunk, replaced by the echo of handcuffs and accusation. But when he stepped inside, the room erupted. Marcus, you're okay. We're so proud of you. Co-workers rushed forward. Lila hugged him through tears, the store manager shaking his hand. Two younger techs looking at him like he was someone they'd read about in textbooks. Marcus blinked, overwhelmed. I didn't expect this. Lila wiped her eyes. We should have spoken up sooner. But we're here now, another co-worker added. You saved lives before this, but now you've changed something bigger. Marcus felt the warmth seep under his ribs, loosening the knots carved there by fear. But even as he smiled to the rush of support, he knew healing wasn't instant. The humiliation still lived in him, echoing in places applause couldn't reach. The trauma lingered like a bruise, visible only when pressed. Yet standing here, surrounded by people who valued him, he realized something important. Reddick had tried to define him through power. Now, Marcus was defining himself through truth. When he stepped back outside, the sun felt different, gentler, warmer, carrying possibility instead of threat. Reddick's downfall wasn't the victory. Marcus's survival was. The clinic smelled faintly of antiseptic and lavender diffuser oil, a strange combination Marcus always found comforting. Nurses moved briskly between rooms, greeting him with warm smiles as he walked in. He hadn't planned to visit today, but his supervisor had called that morning and said, Patients want to meet you, the ones your medication helped. Only if you're ready. He wasn't sure he was ready, but he came anyway. A receptionist waved him toward the infusion wing. They're waiting, she whispered. Marcus stepped inside. A middle-aged woman sat in a recliner, a warm blanket over her legs, and 4 lines attached to her arm. Her daughter sat beside her, holding her hand. The woman looked up. Her eyes widened. Are you Dr. Hale? Just Marcus, he said softly. She smiled. I don't know what happened to you, but I saw the news. And I wanted to tell you, your medication kept me alive long enough to meet my granddaughter. Her daughter nodded. You saved her life. And you didn't even know her. Marcus swallowed against the sudden tightness in his throat. Thank you for telling me. The woman squeezed his hand. Whatever that officer did, don't let it take your light. He nodded, unable to speak, and moved on to the next room. There, a young man in a wheelchair lifted a hand. Yo, you're the pharmacist guy, right? The one who made that emergency stuff they gave me after my reaction. Marcus blinked. Yes, I was part of the development team. Man, the young man said, grinning, I owe you my life. And no offense, you look way too normal to be on TV. Marcus laughed quietly. I'll take that as a compliment. You should. Not many people get to be heroes on the news, and so chill about it. Heroes? Marcus shook his head. I'm just doing my job. The young man leaned forward. Then keep doing it. Ignore the rest. By the time Marcus stepped outside, the morning sun had warmed the sidewalk. He felt something loosening inside him, a heaviness that had been welded to his ribs since the arrest finally beginning to melt. He walked slowly toward the parking lot. A voice called from behind him. Mr. Hale. He turned. A journalist jogged toward him, but not one of the sensationalists from the other day. She slowed as she approached, camera lowered, offering a respectful distance. I'm not looking for a soundbite, she said. I wanted to ask whether you'd be open to an interview for a feature on medical professionals facing racial profiling. Marcus hesitated. I don't know. She nodded. I understand. but your story could help others, especially those afraid to speak up. He exhaled. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. She handed him a card and walked away. Marcus slid it into his pocket, unsure whether he'd ever use it. Later that afternoon, he returned home to find a padded envelope waiting on his doorstep. No return address, just his name in neat handwriting. Inside was a handwritten letter. He unfolded it slowly. Mr. Hale, this is Officer Daniels. I didn't want to send this through official channels. I wanted to write to you as a person, not as a badge. Marcus blinked, reading on. You said I helped. But I need you to know something. I failed you before I helped you. I saw something was wrong the moment I entered that pharmacy. I knew Officer Reddick was escalating too quickly, and I stayed quiet. The next sentence came shakier, more honest. I stayed quiet because I was scared. Not of you, of him, of the system, of retaliation. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth. Marcus sat down slowly on the edge of the couch. I want to change. I'm trying to be the kind of officer who steps in sooner. Not just when things are collapsing, but when they start to go wrong. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Thank you for speaking up. Your voice changed more than you know. It changed me. And I hope one day, if you can, you'll see me not as part of what hurt you, but as someone trying to repair it. At the bottom, respectfully, Officer Jonathan Daniels. Marcus stared at the letter for a long moment before folding it carefully and setting it on the table. It wasn't closure, but it was something like it. That evening, Marcus stepped onto his porch as the sun dipped low, turning the sky gold. He closed his eyes, letting the warmth settle over him. The world had not gone back to normal. Maybe it never would. There would still be flashbacks. The cold tile of the pharmacy floor, the sound of metal cuffs tightening, the indifferent eyes of bystanders who didn't know whether to step in or step away. There would still be fear when a patrol car passed behind him at a red light. There would still be pain. But the story didn't end there, because there were also patients whose lives were saved by his work, co-workers who embraced him, colleagues who defended him, a community who recognized his worth before a system tried to strip it away, and a letter from a young officer trying to be better. Marcus breathed deeply. Healing wasn't linear. It wasn't fast, but it was happening. He opened his eyes to the golden light spilling across the street and whispered to himself, not as reassurance, but as truth. I'm still here, still standing, still fighting, still saving lives. And no one, not even the man who tried to break him, could take that from him.